So the last several weeks have been pretty difficult on the Asian American community with the shooting in Atlanta. I initially didn't want to make this video because our culture, at least the Chinese culture, has usually been very quiet. We're very harmonious and try to keep the peace and go with the flow and avoid the spotlight. Keep our head down and just accept what's going on around us. But I feel like these videos could be helpful for someone out there to hear from an ABC somewhere in the Midwest. And maybe, just maybe, we could bring some good and hope into the world. Asian immigration isn't a very new thing. We've been immigrating to this country since the 19th century, with the Chinese coming mostly due to the gold rush, as well as building the Transcontinental Railroad. Since then, Asian Americans have faced various things that gives us a very unfortunate sense of just isolation and exclusion from the mainstream American society. And even with the last 150 plus years in America, we are still experiencing some of this, unfortunately, today. So none of this hate that we've been experiencing is new. Today, I just want to talk a little bit about some of the times I've experienced, some sort of bullying, I guess you could call it, during my childhood days. A lot of times you hear Ching, Chong, and unfortunately, I heard that a lot growing up. And, kids say it very passively, and it might not mean as much to them as it does to me. They might just say it offhand and, it's very fleeting and then they move on. But for me, it's another reminder that we're not the same. We're not really part of America. They assume that we just don't speak English well or something. And it's really painful to hear that, really, because so my family speaks Cantonese, as you all know, and it's such a beautiful language. A lot of times people say our language sounds like it's singing. We have 9 different tones, so it does come across that way. And it's really sad to hear kids just make it sound like it's just these three sounds, and it sounds as if it's annoying or just less than, compared to English. And so it was pretty difficult hearing just those 3 syllables growing up. It was a very tough thing to hear, especially going to Chinese school on Saturdays and learning more about, Mandarin. And it's just, there's so much that goes into our language and makes it so rich and so beautiful. And to have someone pretty much knock it down to just these 3 syllables, it's just really unfortunate. Another playground chant that came up a lot growing up was Japanese, Chinese, Americanese. I know there are alternatives to this phrase, but that's how it was delivered to me. And obviously it starts out with showing what each of the eyes look like. So it's just they're slanting their eyes in different ways and claiming what is Japanese, what is Chinese, and then Americanese. And it was also another difficult thing because physical attributes isn't something you can change about yourself. It's very difficult to hear that growing up. It's not fun when you feel like you don't belong with kids. You want to socialize, you want to be part of, just feel like you're part of it, part of everything. And it sucks that you get pushed off to the side by a few well-known playground chant over something you can't control. So another story that I remember very clearly, it was 4th grade, and this was with another girl in my class, and for some reason she came up to me and told me, I don't really like Chinese people, they suck. And then she proceeded to hate on everything that's made in China. And then she saw that her plastic pencil case was made in China, and she's like, China, yuck. And she just proceeded to rip it apart in front of me so that it just can't be used anymore. And I'm just like, why would you do that? And she's like, it's made in China. And she just ripped it apart to prove her point. And that definitely stuck with me, obviously. I used to be very proud that so many things here were made in China. I thought it was really cool that China can produce so many items and that they're helping out with the economy in America. It was just really cool to see made in China all over the place. I used to be very proud of that, but for that one moment, it was just very annoying to see someone react that way, and then made me feel like it's just another sense of just do you view me as again less than because you just don't like a whole quarter of the world, and like, where is this coming from? She never told me, and it's very unfortunate that I can't like just go back and ask. I feel you'll be just super uncomfortable, but hopefully she's changed since then, and maybe like she doesn't hold these opinions on people anymore. I always wondered about that because a lot of people see all this hate and discrimination against Asian Americans today, but it didn't just start happening these last few weeks. It's something that's been brewing for a very long time. And all these things that I experienced as a kid, someone taught them. These different chants, that phrase with the 3 syllables, randomly hating products being made in another country. It's quite difficult. It's very sad. And these people, these kids that that played in the playground with me, they do grow up and go out into the working world and have kids. And I just really hope that that isn't something that they pass down to their next generation, because we're trying to build a better world, a more unified, a more understanding, a more inclusive and loving world. And it would be quite unfortunate that hate is also passed alongside. And so my message really today is that all this hate against Asians didn't just start. It has been happening for pretty much since Asians started to come to this country over 150 years ago. And the only way we can make change is by changing our mindset and by changing what we teach the next generation. Watching ourselves before we make some sort of generalization towards a group. Taking note when we suggest some sort of bias towards a group. It gives us, hopefully a better future for our next generation and our society as a whole. I don't have a lot of different ideas on, some sort of calls to action, but I saw an article from PBS that suggests some next steps that people could take to help out, and especially in reaction to the shootings in Atlanta. And I'll leave the link down in the description below, and I hope you all take a look at it. So thank you so much for listening to my message today, and I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.